I'm Jason UFC, and today we have a story about UFC CEO Dana White confirms Sean Tarzan Strickland will get the next UFC middleweight title shot. Sean Strickland appears to be getting his wish. 2024 did not start out as Sean Strickland had hoped for, losing his undisputed UFC middleweight title crown in his first title defense to Dricus Du Plessis at UFC 297. I believe that was in January, right, this year? The split decision loss, which I thought should have been a unanimous decision victory for Dricus Du Plessis, led to a rebound victory over Paulo Costa at UFC 303 this past June. After that win, Sean Strickland insisted he will wait for his second title shot at UFC Gold no matter what. UFC CEO Dana White has now confirmed that's the current plan. Sean Tarzan Strickland will rematch the winner of UFC 305 main event between Dricus Du Plessis and Israel Adesanya this weekend. Okay. Now, this is what Dana White said in an interview with Jim Rome. Sean Strickland right now is the -- ranked middleweight, UFC middleweight in the world, and the answer is yes. I believe the question was, is Sean Strickland the #1 contender? Is Sean Strickland going to fight the winner of Dricus Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya this week? I believe that's what Jim Rome asked. That's why Dana White said the answer is yes. Dana White's plan comes as a bit of a surprise with the recently announced rebooking of Robert Whittaker versus Hamza Chimaev at UFC 308 in October of 2024. Let me see. Okay, we could probably end the article here. It just says something about Dana White says Chimaev should be ranked top 5, but he's been inactive. Chimaev's in good health leading up to this fight right now. Chimaev's is good. October 26th, Chimaev is the co-main event. So we can end the article there. That's just Dana White kind of making an argument as to why Chimaev and Robert Whittaker are still fighting or why that fight was rebooked. I believe Robert Whittaker came out recently and said that he asked the UFC for that fight, right? I don't, I thought I heard something about Robert Whittaker coming out and saying that he asked for that fight to be rebooked. That fight was scheduled for June a couple of months ago, but Hamza Chimaev was, injured, sick, and he couldn't make that fight. But that's the entire article right there. Dana White just confirming that Sean Tarzan Strickland will rematch the winner of Dricus. Is it Still Knox? I think it's Dricus Still Knox Du Plessis versus Israel. Is it the last Stylebender or is it just Stylebender? I have no idea. Israel Stylebender Adesanya this weekend at UFC 305. I do want to preface this by saying I am a MMA casual, so I don't follow everything that's going on in the sport, but I do just want to give my opinion about Sean Strickland being the #1 contender, Robert Whittaker versus Hamza Chimaev, and Israel Adesanya versus Dricus Du Plessis. First thing I want to say is, this makes sense. Finally, in a world where a lot of things just don't seem to make sense, this definitely makes sense. Sean Strickland is undoubtedly the #1 contender in the UFC's middleweight division. Sean Strickland defeated Israel Adesanya in Israel Adesanya's last match. Israel Adesanya is coming off of a loss. Now listen, I'm all for rematches. If the champion defended the belt a bunch of times, they're on a long win streak, right? They should get a rematch, right? That seems obvious. So how does Israel Adesanya get a rematch in a unanimous decision loss to Sean Strickland, and Sean Strickland doesn't get a rematch after a split decision loss to Dricus Du Plessis? I didn't understand it, right? I personally, I didn't think Israel Adesanya deserved this fight, but we're here now, so it's going to be a good fight. I am going to be rooting for Dricus Du Plessis. Capricorns stand up. I like Dricus Du Plessis. He's a finisher. He finished Robert Whittaker. You know, he finished Derek Brunson. He finished Darian Till. I mean, you know, I think even if you look at Dricus Du Plessis' record, you'd be surprised at the amount of finishes that he has. I believe he only has two decisions in his victory. Two decisions on his record. I think everything else has been like a KO, a TKO, a submission. So he's a bad man, Dricus Du Plessis is, right? I believe he got like nose surgery recently, so he could breathe out of both nostrils and stuff like that. So I'm rooting for Dricus Du Plessis to win. You know, we have to question what's going on with Israel Adesanya now. You know, after he defeated Alex Pereira last year, you know, he finally got that revenge. You know, he was 0-3 versus Alex Pereira. He finally got over the hump. You know, that was like his, you know, the top of the mountain for him. You know, he built up this fight with Dricus Du Plessis. Dricus Du Plessis got injured before their fight, so Sean Strickland had to step in to fight Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya ended up losing that fight, unanimous decision in his home country, right? Like that was a tough loss for Israel Adesanya to lose like that at home, and then he basically retired, right? Like we didn't hear he was on the red carpets and saying that he's not coming back into 2027 or something like that. That was like less than a year ago that he was saying that. But now he's back. Now he's gonna get this title shot. What happens if he loses again, right? Does he retire again? I can't really see him being like, you know what, I love this sport so much that I'm gonna just come back and fight the number 7 contender right now. Like I just don't see that for Israel Adesanya. You know, but if he wins, right, you know, is he going to run through the division again? Is he going to fight the winner of Robert Whittaker and Hamza Chimaev? Robert Whittaker is 0-2 versus Israel Adesanya. So we have, you know, there's a lot of questions about what happens if Israel Adesanya wins and what happens if he loses. I have no idea. And then we have the Hamza Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker fight, that's going to be a great fight. Robert Whittaker is my boy. Like, I love Robert Whittaker. Hamza Chimaev is a boy. He's gotten a lot of hate recently. A lot of fans went from really, really loving Hamza Chimaev to just not really being a huge fan of Hamza Chimaev. This was going to be his first fight in the middleweight division against a ranked contender. So Dana White says, "Oh, Hamza Chimaev should be ranked." He said Hamza Chimaev should be ranked top 5. He has 0 victories over any ranked middleweight contender. Right? We'll see where Hamza Chimaev will be ranked. You know, taking on a Robert Whittaker, that's the bar, right? Like if you can get past Robert Whittaker, you clearly are in middleweight title contention. But if you can't, right? If Hamza Chimaev cannot defeat Robert Whittaker, all the injuries, all the weight cuts, what's going to happen with Hamza Chimaev's career if he doesn't defeat Robert Whittaker? Now, if he does go in there and just run through Robert Whittaker, you know, this whole article about, Sean Tarzan Strickland is number 1. We'll see about that. Let's just really be honest, right? Because Hamza Chimaev and Sean Strickland, they got a little bit of smoke. I believe they used to like train together. So listen, that fight is in less than it's about 2 months away, unless, the winner of Dricus Du Plessis and Israel Adesanya, who are not the most, Israel Adesanya is a little bit more, definitely more active than Dricus Du Plessis, but unless, the winner of that fight comes out of that fight completely unscathed, right? And the UFC just immediately booked Sean Strickland versus the winner of UFC 305 main event, I would say we may have to wait for the winner of Hamza Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker to really see who's the actual number 1 contender. Because like I said, if Hamza Chimaev goes in there and literally just runs through Robert Whittaker, there's going to be a lot of fans saying, hey, let's just... maybe Hamza Chimaev does deserve a title shot. But let me know your opinion of this story, because I am a MMA casual, so what the hell do I know? I'm Jason, UFC. Today we had a story about the UFC middleweight division. UFC CEO Dana White confirms Sean Tarzan Strickland will get the winner of Dricus Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the $1 donation button, and please tune in to the next video on this channel. Thanks a million for watching.